This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Well, hello, everybody, to Readers Entertainment Radio. My name is Patricia W. Fisher, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I don't know if you're on your way to see family, or family's on their way to see you, or if you've already seen family, or you'll see them this weekend, or you're going to have a Friendsgiving, or just hang out or work. Believe me, I remember I was a nurse for a long time, and I remember working on days like this. So happy Thanksgiving to wherever you are, and for those who are not celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Thursday. It's Thor's Day. We always send out a shout to Chris Hemsworth wherever you are. You are always welcome to come on the show. And today, I had initially planned to do kind of a summation of different books that you should be grabbing for your Kindles and for your friends, for Christmas gifts and holiday gifts and just gifts in general. But last week I had the fortune of talking to Gina L. Maxwell, and she mentioned a really great charity event, an auction that's going on right now, and it is run by Rebecca Yarros. And Rebecca Yarros is an expert-level chaos coordinator. She's also a hopeless romantic. She adores all things chocolate, coffee, and paleo, and she has to have a caffeine IV put in every day. I totally get this. She's adored reading her entire life, and her writing came naturally from reading so many fabulous books. She's a military wife, mom of 6, foster adoption and autism advocate, and she loves the Mets. But she's also the creator of One October Auction, and we are going to talk about that in just a second. Welcome to the show, Miss Rebecca. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I know it's Thanksgiving, so I really appreciate stealing you away for just a tad, because I know you probably have a household of chaos. Let me just ask, with y'all's Thanksgiving, what is like the traditional thing? Do you guys stay home and have everyone come over? Do you go out? I mean, what do you guys usually do?
We typically stay home just because there's so many of us, and I don't eat gluten. My daughter doesn't eat gluten or dairy, so it's easier to kind of make all those crazy special dishes at home than it is to kind of go out.
Sure. And everybody helps. Everybody pitches in to set things up and set the table and do the dishes and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's why you have teenage sons, right?
Yeah. I'm amazed at how many of my kids' friends don't even know how to sort their laundry. I'm amazed.
It's an issue. And our oldest daughter is 22, so naturally she's out on her own. She's in her first year of law school, and so far has not died. But our oldest son is 16, and I keep telling my husband, we have a year and a half to teach this child how to adult. And I'm not sure he's gonna make it. So we're gonna get there. We've got the laundry, but he does. Right. He's been killing me for saying this. He does like to keep dishes in his bedroom. So when we're missing the plates, they're always in his bedroom.
Oh yeah. It's amazing though, because it's like my mom. She grew up in the '60s, and so when she went to college, she had never done laundry before because her mom had done everything. And one of the first things she washed was, she went to the University of Texas, so it's burnt orange, right? So burnt orange and white. So she got her white sheets and washed them with her burnt orange towels on.
Boy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And she called her mom, Mom, these sheets. And my grandmother was like, guess you're just going to have to sleep on those,
You will remember this lesson every time you get in bed.
Every day. Yeah, but it's one of those things that I know that as much as kids hate chores, it's definitely one of those things that they have to know how to do. It's too adult. Yeah.
They've got to know how to do life, and we usually ask them to cook, not like full meals, but about once a week they get together and they'll cook together. It doesn't always end up great, but it's more important for me to know, hey, you can provide for yourself. Now, there will be a grocery store included, but as long as you can take something and make dinner, you will survive.
Right. You're not eating, bags of chips and bottles of soda for dinner. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or just
And
pizza.
we told him,
Mhm.
right. And that's our oldest was like, well, I'll be on the Hot Pocket plan. I'll just eat a Hot Pocket. I'm like, stop.
Yeah, no.
Oh, teenage boys.
Well, and my kids also went through this ramen stage because one of the girls came.
Yeah.
My kids are in elementary through high school, and the middle two were saying, "Oh, I want ramen." Someone was talking about ramen. It's all about the noodles, and I said, "That's great, but you still need protein." And it just got to the point that they just wanted that's it. That's all they wanted to eat. So I said, "Okay, well, when this is out, I'm not getting any more because I'm not going to fight you about ramen. Forget it."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's.
Yep.
It eventually,
exactly.
I think they hate it, but it's like it's amazing how much temerity we have as younger. Oh yeah, I can eat ramen every day for 3 months, and they do,
right.
and you're just thinking, I don't know.
Yeah,
no.
They get obsessed over definitely. I can't with them, and we argue with protein all the time because our 4 boys play hockey, and so they'll walk in just exhausted from practice. I'm like, you have to replenish yourselves, and they're like, we're gonna have a cupcake. I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. But
you can shove the cupcake down while we're making chicken, but
right,
or
exactly,
fish or what have you.
Exactly. As long as you're still gonna eat, yes. We had. I think what did we have? I think we had pot roast last night, and my son wanted pie, and he hadn't eaten his meat. And I'm like, dude, you need your protein. And he sat there scarfing it all in just so we could have the pie. And I'm like, awesome. Okay, well, this apparently is how to get this one done.
Right.
But
right.
I think it's hopefully
well, and you can always
anyway.
make a pecan pie. So there's nuts.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly. Do a little mincemeat. Bring out some fruitcake. I don't know. See what we can sneak into their desserts.
Yeah, there's 2 different books out. I mean, there's more than that, but the 2 main ones that kind of started it, one was the Sneaky Chef, and the other was something. And it would have all these things, like you could mix spinach with blueberries and make this thing, and you could freeze them like in cubes, and then you would just throw them into these different meals. So one was, I think it was sweet potatoes and something else, but you could throw it in anything like macaroni and cheese.
Crazy.
And yeah, and I tried it a couple of times, and I just thought, man, the prep is just longer than it takes for me just to fight him to eat it. So
I know,
just went,
exactly. And
you're just going to eat that. I don't care.
For eating it, right? There's something to be said for knowing you must eat the vegetables. The only thing we don't eat Brussels sprouts. My husband was in Afghanistan, and I was, I'd just gone paleo, and so we were eating all these vegetables and trying to eat non-processed foods, and I made Brussels sprouts. And then we got onto the table, and we all sat there, and we were eating. And then I just looked at all of them, and only 4 of them were with me at the time. And I said, okay, raise your hands if we should never do this again. And every single hand went in the air, including mine. So yeah. Right. This is one we're just not
done with the Brussels sprouts.
It'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because my sister-in-law's from Chicago, and one year they came down and she made Brussels sprouts, and we just had never eaten them. That was just never something. And she made them, and we have them all the time now.
Wow.
So
it could be the way I cooked them. You never know, especially when you've never had them before, and I never had them growing up. My parents had a rule where you could pick one meat and one vegetable, and if that was your choice, for the one you could not stand, you did not have to eat it. You could make something else. But it was not part of the whole you must eat your dinner. So Brussels sprouts were my dad's. So my mom never made them. So I never grew up with them. So it could be that. But and we still do that. I have a child who won't eat macaroni and cheese.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Isn't that my husband teases him. He's like, you're just not American. I don't know how you cannot eat macaroni and cheese. And this is our child who was born in Germany, and he's like, right, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, he won't eat macaroni and cheese.
Well, one of the things I noticed that that you just kind of don't think about as a parent because you have 15,000 other things you're thinking about on a daily basis. But we got Popeye's chicken one time, and we ended up getting bone-in chicken. And and we got home, and the kids looked at it like we had brought home an alien. And they were just saying, well, how do we even eat this? And it had not occurred to us that we had given so much boneless, chicken. They had no idea how to eat anything on the bone.
Oh.
So from then on, like for several weeks, I would get bone-in chicken, like at the store or whatever, and they would, and they needed to learn to eat it,
Right.
Yeah.
To make sure they can survive.
But it's all those things we figure they know.
Right. And I totally understand. Totally understand. It's it's so much easier, and there's so much more access to things that they don't have to work for or learn how to eat. We put them in cotillion, and cotillion here is like manners and like ballroom dancing, because it was inflicted upon me when I was a child, and so naturally you torture your children with how you were tortured. And it just occurred to me the things we hadn't taught them, like when you have bone-in chicken at a meal, what do you do with that bone? What do you do with this? Where does your napkin go? And I'm just looking at this going, maybe we should stop eating while we all shout about our days and reach for things at the same time. I don't know. There's different world than when we were.
There's just so many things as a parent that you're just like, did I go down the list? Do I have everything checked off? I mean, and then you just kind of at the end of the day, they're still alive, and that we made it. So we'll try again tomorrow. It's definitely a juggle.
Yes. That was our motto, especially Jason was gone all the time. He just retired from the Army. And he was gone, I think, for 8 or 9 years of our marriage total. And he used to say that, are they alive? Yes. Then you succeeded.
Yes.
As long as they're alive at the end of the day. And no one's dead. You're doing great. And I'm like, easy for you to say while you're 5,000 miles away. But yes, I understand. But that's exactly what our motto was. It's because you stress about you do stress about the list and what you can get done and what you can teach them. And then there's those years, especially when you're by yourself, you're like, you know what? Everybody's alive. Nobody's arrested. And today's successful. That's all.
It is. That's
all you can
do. And it's interesting because I remember when my husband, I was a pediatric ER nurse, and then Steve was a pediatrician, so we were like, oh, yes, we already have this parenting down before we even have children. And
we can save them.
We had Emma, our first one, and she ended up with emergency surgery at 7 weeks and just all this other stuff. And we just had no idea how absolutely exhausted you are. There's absolutely no way to describe it or explain it.
Yeah.
It's just know that you will realize how little sleep you can actually function on, and you don't really get it until you get a little more sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, wow, I am really tired.
Right. It's that moment you're like, I slept for 4 hours. And then you're like, when did I get excited about 4 hours? When did that happen? Like, when did when did that become the new status quo? Like, I don't understand.
It's sad because it always ends up being the night that they sleep like 5 or 6 hours for the first time, and you sleep, and then you wake up, you're like, oh wow, oh my God, and you panic.
Yes.
Because something must be wrong that you got to sleep 5 or 6 hours.
Yep. It's got to be heard. Yeah. There's that fear is. I don't think that fear ever goes away. Jason and I call that the 6-week wall. So that's incredible that you guys, were conscious for a 6-week emergency surgery. And I'm so sorry she had to go through that. That's awful. But we call it the wall. So it's like you hit the 6-week wall where you haven't slept, and then it's almost like hallucinating. Like you're just that sleep deprived that you just, you're rocking a bag of flour because you left the baby in the crib. It's just, it's exhausting. And I figured I knew everything with our first child. I had it down pat, and I was amazing. And then 21 months later, our second boy comes, and whole new ball game when you have two. Whole new ball game. And people ask us all the time, like, how do you do it with 6? And quite frankly, after you have 3, you're just outnumbered, and it's just kind of like throwing another kid into the mix. It's just, it's already chaos. Yeah. So it's just another.
Yeah, it happens all the time for me too. Because I'm like, I don't know how. People say, how many kids?
Yeah.
How many kids are? I'm like, I don't know. It's like after 3, I don't even know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I just throw down some more sandwiches and we're all good. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's no big deal.
And then you have all the kids in your house. I tell my friends all the time, like, either we have, 14 kids in our house because the neighbor kids are all here, or we have no kids because in the summer, our neighborhood, I love it. It's very open, and we have that rule where I have to walk outside, look up and down the street, and as long as I can see your bikes or you, you're fine. Because literally in the summer they leave, and it's almost like when we were kids, and we just, I don't want to say ran amok, but kind of ran amok, and they're all with the neighbor friends, and they just come back and tell us where they are, and they just move. There's like a roving band of snack searching, like, oh, run to my house, eat this. Run to my house, eat that.
Yeah,
look,
my brothers used to do that in high school. They played football, and so my parents lived in a town outside of San Antonio, and so my brothers would just like hit homes on the way home to eat, and with their friends and all sorts of stuff. So my parents would go to the games on Friday night, and other parents would come and go, hey, we saw Matthew at Thursday, and Mom's like, for dinner? Like he came home for dinner.
Oh, again. They just they're giant garbage disposals at this age. We have our 16-year-old. I had to buy a second refrigerator. We call it's a large black refrigerator. It's in our garage, and I call it Darth Refrigerator because if they go in there, I will choke them out. It's not fun. But because they were eating everything I had prepped for dinners out of the main fridge.
Oh.
And so I would tell Aaron, that's our oldest son, it's like, do not eat the shredded chicken. We're using it later in this meal. And then I come home and half it's gone. He's like, well, I just made a sandwich. I'm like, you must have eaten 6 chicken breasts. Where did it go? He's like, oh, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, okay. And I was getting so angry. And finally my husband's like, look, no more anger. And it's just everything for meal prep goes out there now. And I'm like, if you go in there, I'm not responsible for my actions.
Yeah.
Because if I take the time to meal prep, you better not eat it, son. But they just eat so much at that age.
Oh, it's endless. It's absolutely endless. It amazes me. My daughter's in marching band and dance, and it is phenomenal to see the amount of food she puts away. And I mean, she's not afraid to eat, so which is good because she's like can do this right now. But I just like it's phenomenal how much they shove down their face, which is great for Thanksgiving because you're like, please eat everything so I don't have a refrigerator full of leftovers.
Exactly. I think we usually make extras because they like the leftovers for the next couple of days. Their favorite thing. So we bought a turkey fryer. My husband fries the turkey now, which does 2 things.
Okay.
It gives me my oven completely empty, and it gets my husband out of my kitchen.
Oh,
because
okay.
I love the man, but how can I help? We gotta move. And my husband's 6'4", 250, and I'm like, you take up a lot of space.
Yeah,
like, I love you, but you must leave. But so we now fry the big turkey. We make tons of stuff for leftovers, but they're always gone within a couple of days because I'll come down, at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they're eating full-on dinners for breakfast.
Right.
And I just don't know where they put it. I really don't. I mean, at my age, I look at a piece of cake and gain 10 pounds, and they're just, it's gone. Food's gone.
Well, I was laughing as you mentioned that on Graham Norton when Ghostbusters came out, with Kate McKinnon and Melissa McCarthy and Chris Hemsworth. And they were talking about how nice Chris Hemsworth was. And, he just was just this really great guy in all these levels. And Melissa McCarthy was saying she watched him eat cake, and he got more defined, and she gained 5 pounds.
That's yes. I feel that in my soul.
Yes. So we've got all this discussion about Thanksgiving, but we also want to talk about your books. And you've got some, and then you've got this amazing auction going on 1 October.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's start with your new project coming out in February.
Oh, that would be great. Great and Precious Things. So that is, it's my next one that's coming out in bookstores in February, and it's romance, but it also kind of crosses into women's fiction a little bit. And
Okay.
I always get flustered when I have to talk about books. It's so funny, and I can talk about someone else's books all day long, and then you ask me, and I'm like, so it's a book, and you should open it.
Yes.
Very much, right? It's really hard to talk about your own stuff. I call it East of Eden meets Legends of the Fall. I think is the best way to put it. And I absolutely love it. It deals with Alzheimer's and returning home from the military.
What made you start writing that? I mean, what was the catalyst that made you start writing that very first book?
Ooh, okay. I always wrote. I wrote all through high school, and then we married young, and deployments came. And when the deployments came, I started reading a lot. And I've always read a lot, but I read a lot. And then my husband, he was wounded his first tour, and after he was wounded, it was very serious. He almost lost his eyesight in his life. He came home and he recovered, and then he volunteered to go back and finish his tour, which, if you ever want to be proud of someone and hate them at the same time, that would be the moment. So he went back to finish, and I couldn't sleep. I was constantly terrified of what was happening, and if he was hurt again and no one had told me yet, because, they don't call you in the middle of the night. They wait until the morning. So I started reading voraciously, and I would read a book a night, sometimes two. And I was just going through an incredible amount of books, and then I realized the stories that I wanted to read weren't always out there. Okay. And so I started writing during his third deployment. He came home, and I said, hey, I wrote a book. And he was like, you what? All right, okay. And then I went to the store, and I bought Publishing for Dummies, because I had no idea what to do with this book. It was right before the self-publishing boom, and that was the first one. And then I just fell in love with putting the stories on the page.
It's a really fun process, but you're right. I think the first big hurdle is just writing it, and then of course the second big hurdle is knowing what to do with it afterwards.
Agreed. And we're so lucky to live in an age where there are so many possibilities, where you're not defined by traditional. You can self-publish, you can hybrid. There's so many possibilities right now.
But for sure, and anybody listening, it's not as simple as, okay, I wrote my book and I'm going to put it out there. Whatever you do, you make sure it is a quality project. You get someone else to look at it. You get someone else to edit it. Don't give it to your best friend, your mom, unless they are like super brutal about edits. You want to put the best quality product out there.
Agreed completely. I'm lucky my editor, who's done most of my traditional books, also now does my self-published for freelance. And so I love the continuity that I have there. And I think self-publishing has become so prevalent that it's amazing to watch, and I'm going to generalize and say women, but in romance it is mostly women. These women, really hone their craft and find these amazing editors. And I would venture to say that these self-published books are the same quality with the editors that we have out there now. Like, really, it's possible to have that same trad level quality because there are wonderful, wonderful editors out there. And definitely, if you're listening, when you finish it, also walk away for a couple weeks. Leave the book for 2 weeks and get yourself out of it, because once you finish writing it, you are way too close to it to jump back in and edit. And I usually ask for a month from my editor. I usually give it to my editor and say, I don't want to see this for a month, because I'm so close to it that when she gives me my edits back, there's every chance that I will react defiantly like a petulant teenager because I'm still too close to it. I got to have that breathing space.
Right. Well, and to transition into that, you've got, for anybody who's like, well, where do I start? And what do I do? How do I find an editor? 1 October, your charity auction has several options for this.
It does. The auction is absolutely, I'm so humbled. I think it's the best way to put it. The book community came out really in force with signed books, with services. We've got PR people in there who will do your release packages. We have editors in there. My personal editor is Karen Grove, and she's in there with a package, and she is amazing. And we have CEO of Entangled, who publishes my books, in there willing to give a 30-minute consult. My agent, Louise Fury, opened up for queries for the first time in 7 years for anyone who will donate. And she's got a package in there for a phone call. There's tons of resources in there. It is amazing how people have come out for it. Should I tell them why we're doing the auction? So we're not, hey, we're just
yes, let's do that. You tell us why we're doing this auction.
Okay, all right, here we go. So we adopted our youngest daughter from foster care. As you adopted 2 of yours, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. We always say that fostering is the best and the hardest thing we've ever done. We were her foster parents for 2 years before we were allowed to adopt her. It was a very, very long process. But when they called me, Jason was in Afghanistan, because that's pretty much where he always was during those days, and they said, we have a blonde hair, blue-eyed baby. Do you want her? And I said, well, yeah, but we're on our way to hockey practice. And they said, well, we'll bring her to the rink. And I just sat there and looked at the phone, like, you're going to bring the baby to the rink like a pizza? Like, if this is how we – really? Okay, all right, yeah, that's cool. So Jason had happened to hop online at the same time, thank God. He just fortuitous timing, and I said, hey, there's a baby. Should we take her? And he said, yes. And so I told him on the phone, yes, we'll take her. We get to the rink, and I put my oldest boys on the ice, and I take my youngest boys out, and I had grabbed a single blanket out of this room, and we'd had this room prepared for 2 years, waiting for a placement. And I just happened to grab a blanket just in case. So they hand me her car seat, and there she is, and she's just, she's amazing and squeezable. And they hand me these 4 grocery bags, and they say, here's her stuff. And to this day, I can remember the weight of her car seat in my elbow and the weight of the bags in my hand as I tried to hold my youngest boy's hand to walk across the parking lot. And it just struck me, they had sent her things in plastic bags.
Yes.
And she was a baby, so naturally she was only 5.5 months old. And she'd been severely neglected, so she was tiny and she was light. But those bags felt incredibly heavy. They had some formula that they had sent with us, and she came with 4 onesies and 4 pairs of stretch pants. No socks, no coat, no blanket, no pajamas, nothing. That was all she came with, and now I have this baby. Nothing. Like, absolutely just that. And her feet were bare. And I'm about to take this baby into a hockey rink, and it just caught me off guard that she didn't have anything. And so luckily we brought the blanket. And that first week was really difficult because Jason was gone, and it was myself and the kids and our daughter, who is now Audrey Grace. And we weren't expecting a baby. They had told us we'd probably get a 2-year-old. So I'd given away all my baby stuff. Now, thank goodness we have a crib. Right. And we have a crib set up because we knew it would go to a toddler bed, but we weren't expecting a baby. And I have no swing. I have no bouncer. I have nothing. And I have this car seat. And she had been kept in her car seat. She wasn't removed from it, so she'd rubbed her hair off, and she hated the car seat. It was the only place she would scream. She wouldn't cry anywhere else, but you put her in that car seat, and she would cry. So I literally had nowhere to put her down. And I remember making lunches that first morning, and my son, Aiden, sitting on the kitchen floor holding her so I could make lunches. Because I didn't have any baby stuff. And so with foster parenting, and you know this, you do get a stipend, and they do help you provide for this child, but it's paid in arrears. And so she came to us on the 1st of October, which is why our nonprofit is called 1 October. And and we got our first stipend check on, I think it was like the 15th of November. And financially, we were fine. We could afford the $1,000 that we had needed to outfit her with clothes that she really didn't need. But I'd had 4 boys, and we had to go to Jamboree. We had to, because I was excited to have another girl in the house. But,
and they always had really good specials and clearances.
Yes, and bows and but we needed a swing and we needed a bouncy and we needed a new car seat so that she wasn't terrified of the one we currently had. And she had no clothes, none. And babies at that age spit up, all the time.
Every 5 seconds,
her
yeah.
Stomach, right, and because her stomach hadn't been grown because she hadn't been fed, she spit up constantly, like after every single feeding because we were trying to grow her stomach. So basically, we were fine with outfitting her, but we know that most foster parents aren't in that same position.
Yeah.
They don't have that financial flexibility to go get that child what that child needs. And we decided we were going to do something about it. And so the mission of One October is that a social worker can call us and say, hey, we have someone coming into care. And from us, you're going to get a discreet black duffel bag and a week's worth of clothing that I would put on my kids. Whether it's new or gently used, you're going to get a week's worth of clothing. Because a lot of times these kids are coming into care, and the very next day they're starting school, a new school. And there's no saying, did they get there at 10 o'clock at night and school is now at 7 a.m.?
Right.
Do they have holes in their clothes? Do they have no clothes? What did they come with? And there's a certain state of mind, I think, when a child is being removed. I personally can't imagine having my child removed from my custody, nor do I think I would be in the mental capacity to adequately pack for them. So I can't, some people are quick to blame, and all I can think is I don't know if I would be able to pack in that state of mind or have the conscious thought of like, you're starting school, you're going to need this and this and this. So our mission is to make sure these kids can enter the system with as much dignity as we can give them. Right. And also to provide a lending closet so foster parents can come to us and get a swing and get a bouncy seat and get a pack and play and just kind of ease that transition.
Yeah, our two walked in with the clothes on their body. And that was it. That was absolutely it. And it was definitely they had been left for long periods of time on their own. And so I still have those clothes. So we've gone through, and cleaned the closets over the years and thinned clothes. And my husband and I both just look at those clothes and we're like, we just can't give these away because it's something that, I'll do something with them eventually, something creative, I think. But it's that moment of this is how you came to us and these were your clothes. Yes. This is it. And
that's incredible.
And a lot of times, and they have trash bags, like you're saying. There's nothing that's theirs really. And our Girl Scout troop, we talked to them. We said, some of the cookie money we do for a community project. And one of the big things was we got baskets together, but we made it for teens. And so we did backpacks, and we put in razors and deodorant and pencils and paper and school supplies and those things that they're walking in the next day, like you're saying, into class, and they have nothing. But now they have a backpack. Now they have, they have tampons. Can you imagine going to a new house and having your period? There's all those things people just don't think about.
They don't. And we, Adriana Locke is another author, and she, with her group and Mandy Beck's group, another author, had asked if they could fundraise or donate items for 1 October for their Christmas drive. And I told her that, these items, for lack of a better word, the things we need aren't really sexy. The things that are fun to give. Do you know what I mean? Like we're going to give toys and really fun, amazing things. No, we need brand new socks and underwear. Yeah. Because that's something most people don't think about. We need the things that these kids are going to need. And teenagers don't have the same needs as smaller children. So where, some small kids probably do need a stuffed animal and something to snuggle with. The big kids really don't. And not that way. They need other things. They do need the razors. They need the tampons. They need the things they're going to be too embarrassed or feel awkward about to ask. And we chose duffel bags so that we could send a bigger selection of things. And then we chose not to put our logo or anything on them. I know some agencies do, because our thought was a teenager doesn't want to have something that labels them in foster care. Right. And we want them to have something that they can take to their basketball game, take to wherever they need to go if they need a bag that doesn't define who they are. And I honestly believe that moving their belongings in trash bags sends a message to them that no kid should have to have. Their things aren't trash. They are not trash. They deserve to have some way to move their belongings. And we're hoping to be able to expand. We're keeping our goals modest for the first year, and we're hoping to be able to expand to do school supply drives in the fall and to do formal wear for the spring, to make sure that kids in care can come and get a tux or come and get a prom dress, come and get a coat. Our goal is, if you're in care and you need something, we're hoping to get that for you, because it's such a tough spot for these kids, and they didn't do anything to put themselves there. You know, but no, that's amazing.
Something else that people. Yeah, school supplies is a big one, and there's also the like the required reading. And I know a lot of people think, oh well, these kids aren't thinking about that. Sometimes that's the only way they escape. And granted, a lot of these kids are academically neglected, but those books, I don't care what level they're able to read. Those books make a difference. So when you're cleaning your bookshelves, or you see when you're at the Barnes & Noble and you see a collection of, Jack London or, Jane Austen, and it's, $10, donate it to your local foster care agency. Donate it to whatever. I mean, those things make a difference. Clean out your drawer that you've got all those shampoos from hotels you've taken, because they're there. Donate them. Just donate them.
Absolutely. And you brought up a really amazing point I hadn't thought about. We'd only thought about school supplies for the fall. We hadn't really thought about kids coming in mid-year and not having those supplies. That's a really excellent. That's a really excellent point. Really, how old were your kids when they came?
They were two. He was just shy of 4, and she was about 20 months. And we knew for sure we were going to get to adopt both of them. That was in May, and we knew for sure in August we were going to get to adopt them. But we had gotten them at the very, very end of their case. They had been going through all that for about a year and a half.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And they had been with BioFamily, but they had their own chaos. And then the last level of BioFamily had been had messed up. So that was just basically, okay, we're done, and we're gonna try a different route. Yeah,
that's incredible. We were there. I mean, we were her only family from the moment she was placed into foster care, but it was 2 years. But I don't know. My only comfort is I know exactly where she was for those 2 years. But May to August. So they weren't quite school age. That's incredible.
No, and our son, he came to us, and it took us like 24 hours to realize, because at first we thought, well, maybe they speak more Spanish than English, and we tried that, and they looked more confused. And I realized that he had like 100-word vocabulary. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he knew no shapes, no colors. He couldn't say the alphabet. He could count to 3 with help. And he just basically knew almost 0. And he had been taking care of her. And so we just, one of the big ways we bonded, and I'm sure, everyone's got their method, but through Disney movies. We all would just sit down and watch movies together. And then we would go, one of the ways I would teach them colors and shapes. I'd say, do you like strawberries? He'd say no, because everything was no. And not in a defensive no, just no. And I'd say, oh, well, do you like these? And I would be at the grocery store and I'd hold them up. And he'd say, oh, I like those. And I say, these are red strawberries. And I'd turn it sideways in a rectangular box. It's like, and he knew banana and apple. And that was it. But he knew the chip aisle and he knew the soda aisle. Yeah. And it's tough. I get it. It's a different process, but it was like he had no tools to thrive or even survive in a general environment. Yeah. So it was a lot, but the beautiful part of it, and I've seen it with so many children who are in foster care, they are so hungry to learn.
Right.
And if you get with one, you're with a child who's been in a situation where they've not been generally respected and they've been neglected or what have you, the gentle approach, and a lot of them will say, yeah, I know what that is, or no, I don't, and they may even get defensive. Is this just a kind, oh, well, I like, what books do you like to read? I don't like books. Oh, well, I like to read blah, 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 and presenting it in a very positive and nurturing way to where they're not feeling attacked. You're just kind of sharing information versus, what do you mean you don't know? It's
exactly. It's respecting their past and giving them that respect. Audrey Grace, she was only 5.5 months and she didn't have any muscle tone. She hadn't really been held. And I knew from the first time I saw her that she had fetal alcohol syndrome. And you can tell there's certain facial markers. And my mom was, my mom's an MSN NICU nurse. So I'd been, I knew off the bat that she had fetal alcohol. And by her first birthday, it was clear to us she had autism. And so our bonding, she's, we had Tula. You know those, the front carriers, the how you wear your baby now with the wraps?
Yeah.
I got one of those because, we were incredibly crazy. Hockey consumes our life. And so she was pretty much raised for that first year on my chest and on my back. So we bonded because she was literally always on me.
Attached to
you. And then Jason came, exactly. Then Jason comes home from Afghanistan, and then I take her to the welcome home ceremony, and he'd been a little bit nervous. He's like, you love her. You've had her for 3 months. I don't know her yet. What if she doesn't like me? And then I handed her over, and she grabbed a hold of his nose, and he was like, oh, done. That was it. And now he runs her world. And I'm looking at this girl like, hey, I was the first person to ever feed you on a dependable schedule, and he's your favorite. Like, how is this?
I know.
How is this okay? Like, this is.
I know.
It's ridiculous. Utterly, like, really? It's not fair. But it's funny because we knew she had autism, and she didn't speak for, I think she spoke her first words around 4.5. And they had told us around her third birthday, they had told us it was autism, and we knew that, but because she was in foster care, they didn't want to diagnose the autism because 90% of foster parents who receive a diagnosis of autism walk away. Yeah. And at this stage, nothing drives me crazier than when people say, oh, you're one of those special people that adopts. I'm like, no, or adopt special needs. I'm like, no. They handed me a baby, and I fell in love with this baby. Yeah. And this baby happened to have autism. She happened to have apraxia, which is where the nerves don't connect from her brain to her mouth, and she can't make her mouth make the sounds. She happens to have albinism, and she happens to have fetal alcohol. I also have an epileptic child, and I didn't throw him back. Right. Like I kept him. So at this point, we were just in love with this baby, and that's just kind of what she came with. But it's incredible. Once we moved out here and she stopped having visitations with the bio family and she just had a stable home environment, because even living with us for 2 years, it's not stable when you're going to visitations and there's a tension in that air. The developmental pediatrician said that she wouldn't be anything more than she was, and that she wasn't ever going to speak or know any words, and that she wouldn't ever mentally develop. And we fought really hard and got her into ABA, and we took her back 6 months later, and she knew all of her shapes, her colors, her numbers, 1 through 30. She had about a vocabulary of about 150 words, which, from going from nothing to 150 over 6 months is huge. And all it took was a PECS system, speaking in pictures, which is how autistic kids think anyway. And she just took off, and now she is 6. And she speaks. Apraxia is really hard to make words work, but she speaks about, 30 words or so. But she's an electronic talker. So when she touches a button, it speaks for her. And she's got, thousands of words in there, and she knows all her kindergarten sight words and her first grade words, and she can hack your iPad like it's nobody's business. And she's hacked 2 of her speech devices and wiped them clean of data, then created separate profiles to go watch Peppa Pig online.
Well, plenty to be thankful for. So I so appreciate you coming on today, Rebecca. And everybody, if you want information on everything, you can
This
check
show
the
brought to you by
website,
Circle of Seven
Facebook,
Productions.
Twitter, Instagram, as well as One October Auction. Thank you
COSproductions.com.
again.
Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
The Hollywood Reporter is your ultimate source for awards race news this fall. Go to THR.com to keep up with this award season's expert predictions from executive editor Scott Feinberg, and tune into the Hollywood Reporter's Awards Chatter podcast for exclusive interviews with the biggest names in showbiz. Stay in the loop with daily newsletters providing real-time updates on all the awards action. Subscribe to THR.com for full access to the Hollywood Reporter and never miss a moment of this fall awards season. Visit THR.com today.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.